Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic of Denton. The views and opinions expressed by the show hosts and their guests are those of the show host and guests, and not necessarily those of the sponsors, DentonRadio.com, or the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau. For more information, visit the Policies and Procedures page at DentonRadio.com.
Evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in tonight on DentonRadio.com. You are listening to Sound Values right now. My name is Kind Beats, and we are broadcasting out of the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center on the now melted clean of snow Denton Square. We had some wild weather over the weekend, guys. It was cool. It was fun. I liked waking up to that.
I had to work in it.
There you go.
Yeah, it was very
I knew somebody was out there just like just hating it. But tonight, I've got a couple fellows from the FlintlockGypsies in the building, guys. It's been a while since we've had you on the show. I wanted to hit you up. I remember the last time was just good times, good conversation. You know, and that's what I'm looking for.
We had a good time.
Yeah, when you're going to talk to people, you want it to be a good conversation.
Not a bad one.
You know?
Nobody likes it. It's a little
I want to get those guys back who said nothing. They just sat there quietly, and we just stared. That would be a strange show one night to do
a shtick.
We could do that right now. It'd be super easy.
No.
If we get more waters, we'll be fine.
It'd be harder. It'd be harder than you think.
These were, I know. I'd want to say
go like 45 seconds and be like, okay.
I wouldn't be able to do. I'd have to take off the headphones and get up. Like, I'm out of here. Man, well, it's great to have y'all back in the studio with us. Back in the studio. I was actually jamming some of music today on Spotify.
Sweet.
So having a good time listening to that stuff. So let's just kind of get like a recap of the last year music-wise, man. Like, you know, we're going into 2020 now. I mean, what happened?
We made it.
What happened?
We're not dead yet.
What happened musically for you guys in 2019? Are there any big memories, like some cool stuff, you know, all that kind of?
So I guess when did? Whoo!
Yeah,
Craziness.
It's been a weird
ensued.
year.
It was So I think it was around the beginning of the year that I fired you, right? Or you quit?
Yeah, I abstained
totally-
myself from activities.
Yeah. It went weird there for a second, and then on top of that, all the stuff we were using to record and kind of produce our music crashed. The whole computer system crashed. So
Man.
within probably 2 weeks of each other, all this nuts stuff happened. So really the last year has been, we built a brand new studio, and obviously Madison is here. And we had a
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. He's back. Last week, Madison quit the band. Doesn't matter. Now we're back together again. La 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 la. Yeah.
couldn't split up Cato and Nash.
Are we just gonna do the whole?
I like that part.
We might have to edit a few words out of there. But shout out to Tenacious D. If Jack Black was ever viewing, he'd be proud of that. So you built a new studio.
Yes.
What and like I mean, dude, that's
It's terrible. Don't do it. If you're thinking about doing it, don't.
Yeah, he's been really poor for a long time.
It's fun.
I got an email from one of the people, like one of the companies who has printed some CDs, and they were like, home studio PDF, you know, and so I took a look at it, you know.
Did it say stop on the front first, right there at the beginning?
I don't do like a lot of home recording. Most of it's done in a computer or just through a basic audio interface. I'm not miking things, but it had some good information about like how to treat a room and place your monitors and where to put your table and all that kind of stuff that I didn't really know. But it was funny. It was literally like a warning at the beginning or like a disclaimer where it was like, this will consume not only the room, but your bank account.
Yes, all of it. It's rough.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. So when you started, you know, you like you said, everything crashed. And so you kind of got to rebuild it. What's kind of the first thing you start with? Are you like, well, I get like, is it computer? Is it?
Yeah, I went and rebuilt a brand new computer. Like I went and did everything by hand.
There you go.
I built a couple mics, but it was, that's where I started. Was what on earth do you actually need?
Yeah.
To get any of that? So like, what's practical? What's practical?
Yeah.
There's so much missing. There's so much stuff.
We see what people have that are recording. You know, we've gone to several studios and we see what people are using, the programs they're using, and we're like, well, how do we fit this
Roughly
square peg into our round hole of a crappy room, you know? Like, how do we do it as effectively as possible? He started just building mics. He was buying, like, the second best mic. And then like
taking the parts,
taking
out,
all the
putting
crap out of it, and like redoing the aluminum strip, and like doing like some soldering, and like
dude, that's amazing.
all kinds of engineering
And see,
crap. I can't.
man,
put my hand
I'm
around.
not. I'm gonna say it's amazing, but I could see you doing that. You seem like that type of
Yeah. I really enjoy it.
Freaking Poindexter. Over here.
Yeah.
I know, but he
was
he
entertaining
He totally
and-
pulled it off and just started making mics, and then they
cool,
sounded
man.
great. And then the
Wow.
software that he got added on there sounded even better. And we mic'd up the drum kit like 8 different times. Got a new
Nice.
drum
That's
kit.
the thing is
like,
it took a year. It took like mistake. Oh, that was kind of good. That was kind of good. Like this is rough. This isn't rough. Like that worked. So we're gonna stick with that thing. And then oh my gosh, like that failed again. That failed again. And it was really just
trial and error.
trial and error.
You could like write a book of like what not to
Yeah,
do.
that's we
Yeah.
figured out
That's
50
probably the
ways to
next
not
step.
do it, and then that one worked. And it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna stick with that.
That
thing.
could be an
And
idea for a book. Like, don't ever give the instructions on how to do it. Just instructions on how to not
This
do it.
doesn't work for this goal. Don't
book
do
called
this.
Giant Waste of Time. Like,
The other day, I built this grill. This grill, whole big
Yeah.
grill, and I know this one. Dude, I felt so manly. I want to like yell at my neighbor over the fence, but hey, check this thing out. But then I realized I had put the grill on backwards. As I was looking at these,
Oh no.
does it work still though?
well, yeah, and I was very lucky where the whole the grill just attaches to the base, and so even though I had all the other stuff attached to the sides, I just lifted the whole thing up and turned it around. But as I was looking at it, I was just at a loss. Like, what did I do? And so I was looking through and I was like, oh, and of course, in the instructions, they flip it 500 different ways, like one of those cruel questions on a math exam in the 6th grade, like, how many sides does this have?
Yeah.
Like, dude, I don't know. It's a clear cube. No sides. It looks clear to me.
Yeah, this is fine.
How
Screw
many
this.
edges does this have? This is terrible. If I was in a room, I just count them. But funny story, actually, now that I'm saying that. This actually came up. We were building a 3-dimensional cube for a show that we were putting on. And it took me and my buddy like 20 minutes to figure out how many sides of PVC we needed for the cube. He was like, no, you got to subtract one from each side because you don't want to include that side in the side, or that one of the edges in the side. And I was just like, dude, I can't do this.
How do you count zero?
I was like,
how do you count zero?
I was like, how many sides does a cube have? And then I knew. I was like, wait,
She'll save your life
I know.
every time.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
she has
but
all
it-
the. I don't, but she has all the answers.
I've quizzed her a few times and she hasn't given some good results, but
Man,
most
so
of the time.
I'm interested even more about like this, building the mics and putting the studio together. So,
Don't.
yeah, you said
Don't.
don't. You said don't. So as you were
Theme
kind
of the night.
yeah, don't do it. So as you're testing things, you guys are like putting them together. I mean, it like you said, it's an immense process. But do you feel like you're close? Do you feel like you've put it together now over the year?
Yeah, we're
as close as we've been.
I feel satisfied at this point.
And that's good.
It's you can go into the immense hardware applications and all sorts of. But I'm gonna,
Yeah.
but for the moment, it's like it's a break.
It all
you know?
works.
Yeah, it works. That's the biggest thing.
It
Does it
works.
work? Is it hard to use? No and no. Okay, move forward. Like,
Is it work? Is it easily
'cause
operable? Perfect.
Really, it started with I got so sick and tired of taking 20 minutes to tear down a drum set, move it to a location, set it up for the gig, play that gig, tear it down, move it back, do it again and again.
He wasn't even the one moving it. It was me.
But the time consumption, like I hate time consumption, waste of time.
Yeah.
Like that's the most important thing was getting those drums like to where we can set mics on them, not have to move them anymore.
Yeah.
And we got another set that can go to shows.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
so that's kind of where it started. And then it was just a giant snowball of, well, what if I can do this? Oh, if I can do that, then I can definitely do this. And let's try that. Well, that didn't work, so let's go the other route. And
Yeah.
just ping-ponging
Has it gotten
frantically.
easier for you now? Just one drum set and one stays still and then the other one to go?
Yeah.
That seems awesome.
Yeah.
That would be great. I mean, I don't have that much
Thank
stuff
you,
to
Michael.
move. I have a table and a computer and a thing that's like that big. So it's not that much
It's
that I have to move.
arduous.
So what did y'all learn about like miking a drum set? I did that for live sound, but that's a lot different, than miking something that's going to be going into a program as you're recording
most of
it.
the time it's about the room. Like if you can find
the space plays more into it than the mic placement, really.
Okay.
But and like I read, I gave it to you. I don't even know if you started that Glenn John.
I'm a chapter in.
Glenn John's autobiography. My dad gave that to me last year, and I read it in this past year. And he's the guy who recorded pretty much all of rock and roll.
Okay.
Like he grew up in the neighborhood with.
I think I just started following him on Instagram.
He did the
last night.
Stones, and he did the Yardbirds, and like he grew up in Clapton's neighborhood, and like he just knew everybody, and he was like a failed singer who just loved equipment and trying to figure out how to record it better, and he ended up recording for everybody, and like what the sound of rock and roll, this guy did everything.
Nice.
And he talked about his mic placements for drums, and where like he accidentally did it recording a Stones song. Like there's a mic left on over there mid-height by the snare drum on the other side of the room, and somehow it just worked, and like that's how we experienced.
They got that reverb feel on When the Levee Breaks was recording it in a big, like vaulted ceiling room.
The reverb room.
Yeah, and that and just created that big noise to it. I find stuff like that. I can't imagine growing up in Clapton's neighborhood.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
him and I can't remember another dude, Quentin Townsend, but
Just like growing up down the street
they all
from
came.
each other.
Like 6 of them all came from the same block, and like
What block was this? Let's find
somewhere
this block.
in
Good
England,
one.
somewhere in England. I think
It's.
it was
I
Surrey
wonder
or
if.
something.
Yeah, I wonder if like if we went there today and we knocked on the door of each house, if we were like, "How's your kid?" If they're like, "Oh, total deadbeats," just this moment in time, or if that block is just like the mech. There's like some kind of like electromagnetic field on.
Just a schload of great talented musicians that basically made that era of California music, that rock and
Wow.
roll from California.
That's cool.
But it's because they were bouncing back and forth between the neighborhoods and they feeding off of each other. Like they had a thing.
That's pretty interesting. I
It's
had
the
no
same
idea.
kind of movement that the band had with Dylan, in the Pink House.
Yep.
They all just kind of showed up and recorded music in that basement, and
Yeah.
ended up like the Pink House tapes are like some of the earliest Bob Dylan stuff you can find.
I feel like the older that I get, as a kid, you look at celebrities. I feel, some of us, when it's like the older I get, the more they become humanistic to me in a way, and it's kind of like, they're people who just worked really, really, really hard,
And
it's,
had good agents.
yeah, and you can say that it's like a bit of luck, so it's like that preparation meets the opportunity. Like Clapton was smart enough to practice as much as he did and get as good as he got, and then he had the opportunity to show the world what he could do. And
The
all
big thing though is who found him.
yeah,
Like they could
those
all be
stories,
sitting there.
Yeah,
They could all be sitting there doing that thing.
Well, I think that was more indicative of the movement. That's why I like we're always asking like who's rock and rolling now, like who's carrying the torch of rock and roll. Like they had a movement back then that permeated through all aspects of society. So it wasn't about who found him. Like he was a force.
yeah.
And everybody was doing the same kind of crap.
Yeah.
They were all writing. They're all doing singer-songwriter stuff. A lot of country came out of, good country. Everyone was putting out a country album in the mid-'60s. And
Yeah.
like, there were all these
These
just
like
different,
outlaw movements.
all these
in a
just
way,
different
yeah.
movements that were all swept up in rock and roll. And we don't really have that. There's no like.
Yeah, that was actually. It's funny that y'all started talking about that because I literally wrote down like rock and roll. Like that was one thing that I kind of wanted to talk to you about is because your guys' music is, it's a blend, but it's rock. You know what I mean? It's it's got a bit of this country here. Different feels throughout the sounds, which is music that I like. You know, where I'm like, oh, I can take this part from here, these pieces from here, these pieces from here, and like what we have to, and that was something that I've wondered too is. Man, I know that there's good rock music out there. I know that it exists. I listen to y'all, so like I'm not trying to gas up here, but I'm gonna throw in nothing wrong with that. There's good rock music out there. When I ask people who listen, they usually can send me, "Hey, this is good. This is good." A lot of people have beef, but when I first heard the kids from Michigan, like Greta Von Fleet or whatever, I thought it was awesome. A lot of people say, "Oh, they totally ripped off Zeppelin."
Yeah.
I love Zeppelin. It didn't bother me. I was like, these kids are 19 years old. I really like that somebody who's 19 is playing this type of music. So I enjoyed that. I hear all the arguments of, they sound just like Zeppelin. Cool. Doesn't bother me. If you told me I sounded like Zeppelin, I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah. That's a great. That's a healthy comparison.
So with rock and roll right now, and I just watched Almost Famous recently.
God,
and
love
it's
that
that's such
movie.
a fun movie.
so good.
Love that movie.
where are we? Where are we with rock and roll, fellas? Where are we right now? You know, do you guys? Is it just kind of there are artists out there that y'all think are killing it, and it just kind of needs that that spur behind it, or has rock and roll kind of turned in? Has it become kind of this almost an underground subgenre in a way?
Well, it's
or has it been cheesified?
I think that's it.
I think
Has it been Chad Kroger? Or, no offense, Chad, but you know.
All the offense, Chad.
no, I don't think it's. I think that we've gotten so used to listening to something that's. So the big demographic right now is rap.
Yeah.
And when you go into that, and then you try to, because we kind of emulate what we see, we emulate what we feel, and that's era to era to era to person to person to person to county to state to. We kind of follow what we see, regardless of. It's just subconscious at a certain point. Like, there's riffs that I've written that I brought to you or some of the band members, and they're like, man, that sounds like another song. And then they'll pull up another song that sounds, I didn't think about that when I was writing it. It came through because I've heard that before. You know, we've gotten so far down different rabbit holes, and we're getting to a point where what we're used to hearing is really produced. It's really... So when you hear that raw thing that we've heard the Rolling Stones songs for a long time.
Yeah.
So we're used to the way they sound. But if they were to come out now, would they stand a chance?
Probably no. No, not at all.
I think it's more of a tonal thing.
So.
I think that most of the industry that is feeding the masses is incredibly square. Because they've been doing it the same way since the 70s.
Money.
Yeah,
because it does a good job making money.
Like you hear
That's
all the time,
thing,
like, oh, this producer worked with this person. Well, does that mean you're going to be successful? Like, just because you're going to
How many
you're
other
gonna
people
do his program and it's going to work? Like, all these programs are just kind of stale and square to me.
Yeah.
And like the really good musicians are definitely outside of that system, and they're playing and experimenting with all kinds of different ways, checking out vaulted ceilings. Like, they're trying to push the envelope to make something sound tonally different than the square, which is not hard to do.
Yeah.
So, like, that, I think all the best rock is coming from people just trying new stuff. What is it, that Royal Blood album that we loved?
Yeah.
Like, that's a two-man band, and he's playing bass and guitar at the same time. That's pretty freaking cool.
But he took his inspiration from the Queens of the Stone Age feel.
Yeah.
Of the split bass. Holm does a few parts where
I
he
guess
splits it.
there's so many different tracks to follow.
Can you be inspired and make something old new? Like, what they did is they made something old new.
Yeah.
And can you refresh? Can you
has
put a
worked-
polish on that thing?
And that's worked since Beethoven. So, I mean, it's not like it's a crime. There's only 12 notes in our scale. It's going to be repeated. But
yes, exactly.
But it's I guess like it's whatever gives you that feeling. Like whatever, like the feeling comes from the movement that they had. That's why that stuff sounds so good, because they had something to sing about, and they just didn't give a crap about the system.
Yeah.
And there's a whole movement behind it, and when you get that feeling, like, that's rock and roll.
Yeah, and there's a sound that I love, and two guys that do that sound really well. And you guys is Jack White. You know, whether he's with the Raconteurs or
we were listening to that the other day. And I love those albums.
Their album is great. Or if you're listening to the Black Keys. To me,
that lo-fi feel for those guys.
I mean, even when they have it's the rawness of the guitar, or like the rawness that I like is kind of like the Beatles song Revolution. You know how raw that guitar is. I've always loved that, dude. Or just I mean, the breakdowns, things of that nature. I've always loved that kind of stuff, and I want to hear more of that rawness. I want to hear more just. Boom, I guess you could say.
I feel like there's also this self-inflicted sort of, when it comes to rock and roll, like there's a pride in not promoting your own stuff. And there's it's a weird nuance that doesn't happen in any other music. Everybody else is pushing their own thing, but rock tends to be
weird about self-promotion.
And there's a death to it at that point. If you can't do that, if you can't evolve and grow to a point to where you are proud of what you're, and it's not even a pride. There's a weird anti-pride thing going on.
It's
with
rooted in the The,
It is. It
the-
absolutely is.
The screw the system stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
But it
there's
has
there's
to-
an antagonistic principle to rock and roll. You've
For
got to
sure.
have that FU sense when you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like that's what gives you the feeling.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
It's the other. It's just the other. That's the yin and
The
yang
other,
about it.
yeah, the other
Yeah,
side of the
'cause
coin.
it's-
It's hard to.
I mean, I used to hear guys say, I want to grow organically. I want to grow
What's
organically.
it- like, what
Yeah.
is-
Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, man, a little fertilizer never hurt.
USDA doesn't even recognize it as a viable term. You can put that on anything.
I know, it's true. I remember I learned that in school. I was like, oh, all organic? Yeah, I
All
remember
organic
one of
is
my, or
BS?
no, it was all
It's-
natural. I remember my teacher was like, the shampoo you're using is not all natural. Like, I was cracking up.
There's
you know?
anything you can't pronounce,
Yeah.
it ain't natural.
Yeah, exactly. Like cyanophyne 45.
Sulfate
Oh,
38.
I know
Like,
that.
no, I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
that doesn't come off a
So-
leaf.
Yeah, I kind of like
I
what you're
grabbed
saying.
a bag of
is-
that and took it home.
I mean, I kind of talk like I felt that way too when I first started making music. I was like, oh, I just want to put music out there and people just might click it. But now, I mean, in the world that I'm in,
how
dude,
how realistic is that?
it's not.
No, that's
No,
the,
it's
At
not.
least back in the day, someone would get discovered. There were
Yes.
people out looking for talent,
That's-
and like
Uh-huh.
now it's just clicks.
I kind of say like it would be. But I compare it to a time where it's like it would almost be like if you were in the 60s or the 70s and you didn't go put up an event flyer. You
Right,
know?
right.
Nobody,
That's the equivalent.
Yeah,
That's the
you know.
equivalent.
So I'm not saying that you have to every day go to Twitter and I don't do all that.
No.
But at least make an event page for the show, so I know
Dude.
that you're playing and I can come see it.
Don't side swoop and look the other way.
Yeah,
like
because even now, especially in a town like Denton, you know, I can choose where I want to go. It's not like, oh man, I have to go here.
You gotta
and
go to the
there are
dance hall on
options.
Friday
yeah,
night.
and now
Like-
there's gonna be 140, 500, 200 people there for me to play for. You know, so. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I need to know where you're playing so I can go there. Because if not, I'll be like, well, I guess there's no shows tonight. I'll go here. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I'll just go sit in the beer garden and hang out here, and then when there's a show, I'll go see the show. You know.
we'll hope that something cool happens.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we're fully
I think
informed
we've been spoiled
at
in that
all
respect because you
times.
can literally just wander around and find a show in Denton.
Yeah,
Like-
true. I actually reached out recently to ask, you know, in some subreddit music that I follow. One of them was just a chill hop, you know, which is just chill hip hop beats. You know, take jazzy piano, put it with a hip hop beat, chill hop. And I reached out because here in Denton, man, I get shows. I got, you know, there's a great support for it here. You know, I can play here, I play here. People enjoy the music. You know, people like it, they play it. But when I typed like a conversation, try to start a conversation and see if there was anybody else out there, nobody responded.
Crickets.
Yeah, and normally there's a lot of chatting going on back and forth in those subreddits and things. But I was like, man, is this just a very like special hub, you know, for this kind of style for what you're saying is that we can. Well, I could probably go outside right now and could find, you know, we'd find comedy, burlesque, rock, hip hop,
Yeah.
and then we could jump over to UNT and find some of the best jazz in the country.
In the world.
You know,
Yeah.
in the world, yeah, for sure. So you know that the talk about self promo feeling weird. I think that that's something that for me I had to be like, okay, cool. I can't feel bad about telling people I have a show. I'm not gonna feel bad about creating a presence on Instagram, things of that nature, because I pretty much just summed it up to like, all right, man. Well, this is what the guys are doing in the '60s, standing outside with flyers, handing them to people as they walked into the shows, putting flyers on people's cars, things like that. You know that you were doing, ways to let people know. And especially now, you know, the market, there's so much music to consume. You know, I couldn't ever consume all the music that I want,
yeah.
you know, so at that point as a listener, it's almost like walking into a grocery store and there's 400 types of peanut butter in front of you. It's like, oh, just give me this one. And I'll just
It's
hold on to-
overwhelming
hold
to
on-
a
yeah,
Well,
certain
and
point.
everything shifted again under our noses with the playlists. Like I've actually found people getting annoyed because I want to listen to an album. Like that,
Yeah.
that's just another riff. People 10 years younger than us, they don't care about track 3 or 5 or 7 or like they don't care of it as a whole.
It's a
They just-
singles
They don't even
world.
want to
It's
listen to the same artist more than 3 songs in
Yeah.
a row. Like all they do is they listen to their morning playlist or whatever they've crafted.
Because there's so
or,
much.
Because
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
It's
It
not a-
should evolve.
It's not a bad thing unless
No.
you want to be like noticed.
But
Yeah, but I do understand kind of what you're saying too about listening to a whole album. You know, I think it's an experience to sit down and, dude, I'll be honest, like I have trouble doing it. I mean, with all the information your brain's taking in all the time, with all the possible distractions in the world, it's hard to sit down and listen to a whole album. But when you do it, it feels so good.
Oh yeah.
There's a thing about it. 'Cause
Yeah.
you get to catch what that artist. I like both ways. I'm not
For
mad
sure.
at
It's
either.
like widescreen versus full screen. You know, you appreciate appreciate the whole thing, or you just want it to fit.
Yeah.
You know, fit your time frame or your schedule or whatever. Like you get more out of it if you put more into it.
Yeah. Listening to a whole album is awesome, and even now, even with I was like, do musicians in the world of hip hop, I'm like, I don't even know if people really. I know Pudge. I know my homies come out with full length, 10, 12 song albums, but I don't really know if anybody else really comes out with a lot of albums, recently. I'm probably totally wrong here, but it seems like singles are the way to go. Here, put this out, and then because in a way, kind of like we talked about earlier, whoever it is who's putting this music out there is looking to make some revenue. So what makes you that revenue? It's almost kind of like what I witnessed working with younger kids was that's and then I think about it as a kid. It's like, man, that's what all that music is geared towards. Like when I was listening to Nelly, in the 6th, 7th grade, that music was geared towards me. And now with YouTube, how many clicks, how many of that, how many, what brand is advertising before your music video? How is this? And that's where it seems that a lot of the revenue is coming from. And then live shows, of course. But a majority of it seems to be like, how do we create clickable material? Kind of like you said, click earlier. How do we make something that's going to make people watch it 10, 15 times, That's only
for the big dogs, though.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, if you're just an average band, the only way you're going to make money doing that is selling merchandise.
Yeah, merch. Yep, which is something that I was bringing up recently is you have the world of streaming, and you need, it's like 1,496 plays on YouTube to make $1.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Hey, we got like $1.50.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Gas up the truck.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really
time to write a new song.
Yeah, and the importance for young artists and people who are coming to have merch was something that I didn't even realize until I had merch for the first time at a show, and all of a sudden I made more money selling merch than I did playing the show.
Our first album release party, we got rid of all of our merch and
clocked
made
out
more money than we made since then.
And more musicians that I've talked to in any genre, have said if you don't have merch, even characters said if you don't have merch, you're playing yourself. He goes, I remember a lot of people are nervous, like, I don't know if I can spend $250 on those 25 shirts right now. Yeah, but you're going to leave with $250 more. Or you just have a wardrobe full of your own clothes to wear now.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy shirts for 6 months.
To wear out.
You might have,
you can gain weight,
I
lose
was
weight, you're
gonna
all
say,
good.
You might have to gain a few pounds, lose a few pounds, but hey, the holidays are,
Crap, I'm out of small shirts.
Perfect
time for mediums.
Yeah.
Power on the food.
Oh, man, I feel like I've gotten a little big. Time to start working.
Yes.
That kind of thing. But, the merch, man, it's hugely important in it. How do you feel about because T-shirts do well? What about
I think the crazier
we did the weird shit. We did
the crazier the better.
Koozies and
so different kind of things.
We had keychains and
that's
underwear
awesome.
and
dude. So you
we had giant glass mugs.
Yeah, so it's
bandanas,
changing things. Changing things up.
Now that we're telling all of you what to go get. Go get this stuff.
Yeah, go get
Make
this
some
stuff.
money.
Yeah, exactly.
My girlfriend's got a Cricut machine, so we were able to do all the art. And
what's a Cricut machine?
It's this thing that can
etchy
it can put it etches
from the computer.
Oh,
you put a
nice.
PDF
it's
on
like
it.
a computer stencil or something.
Oh,
you can
nice.
literally put anything onto whatever medium you need to put it on a shirt or put it on glass or put it on.
Well, that's
anything.
exciting. That's
so
cool.
It was.
I might have to reach out to you for some time.
Yeah.
I have this cutting board.
That's really cool. She did. She learned how to. She did some chemistry stuff and made mugs. She put the etch on the thing.
You get etching cream on there, and then you let it sit on the glass for like 15 minutes, and then you peel it off, and you got the logo etched into your glass.
That's tight.
So we made like 25 mugs and sold them all.
That was fun.
Yeah, man. That's really cool, and I feel like that's That's what you have to do. You have to be creative. You have to try different things. You have to be, that's what I was going to say is how do you guys feel about CDs, stuff like that? But you're like, have them. But I think what you guys did with
CDs are tough.
Yeah.
Like, it's great to go do it, obviously, because you will want that later for
we
yourself.
come from the generation that actually wants to have something instead of just having it on your scroll page,
Yeah.
Like,
and as vinyl is now selling out of control. But
yeah, it's coming back.
Well, it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow
We're going with. I'm running around with Nicholas Haddix, who's a photographer in Denton, and we're gonna go shoot a whole thing for the. Our album's coming out here in like a couple months.
Okay.
And we're gonna go shoot the thing, and then I got another buddy, Zach Howell, who's gonna do all the lettering and all of that stuff. But that's. Yeah, I'm still, like, regardless of how it trends, I really don't care. I'm going to go make the booklet. Like, I want that stuff.
Yeah.
Because
you do cool, change things up, try new I think it's awesome, man. So, we mentioned a new album.
Yeah.
We've leaked it. We've leaked it.
Man.
It's going. We were already on our way, guys. We had State of Rock and Roll, which was a great conversation. Thank you for indulging in that with relative calmness, too. I appreciate that. Whiskey, we'll get to that. Music, we talked about that. Let's talk about the album. Let's talk about some new music. What do we got?
2.5 years we spent, if not longer, because we went to another studio originally to start it probably 3.5 years ago. And we spent 8 months there, didn't like it. And for the last 2.5 years, we've been digging and perfecting, getting all of our parts exact. Because I rewrote each song multiple times. It took a while. And then there's one we did a music video for a couple months ago. First Round's on YouTube.
Yep, I've watched it.
And we knocked that was fun. We had a good time with that.
Nice.
And
That's called First Round? Okay, cool.
We got to do Foley work.
Yeah, it was good.
Was
We
cool.
did wine pouring and
What is
noises.
Foley work?
It's like the
Sound effects.
Oh, okay,
like doing
cool.
percussion stuff. Like it's kind of a lost art in Hollywood now because you just hit a button. But there's actually guys called Foleys that have like a whole bunch of percussion equipment. And like little like shoes and like when they'll watch the movie and like. And do that.
Yeah, I've actually seen this. I don't know where I saw it recently, but it was a guy who was like, here's where we make this sound and this sound.
Yeah,
and like,
shaking goat hooves and weird stuff,
yes, dude. It's
but there's a dude rolling over in bed, and so like I'm over there like punching a pillow and like this is awesome.
Yeah, we're rubbing sheets together.
Yeah, rubbing stuff together.
It's so funny that you mentioned the
Tibetan goat hooves.
Because I was like, that's so true. I remember when me and my buddy of mine, this guy has the greatest last name. His name is Justin Scheidt.
Scheidt.
Yeah. You want to see a look on a substitute's face when they go to Justin
Scheidt?
Yeah. Hey, I'm just gonna Justin, are you here?
Justin
S.
Yeah.
Justin S. Are you in the building?
He was the first person who was like, hey, we have to, because when we were making student films, there wasn't these huge databases in 2003 to go on the internet and find all these noises. So we had to make a lot of our own. And we were on a website that was like, how do you create this noise? And one of them was the goat hoof thing, which cracked us up, Or it was like drop a ball in a pot of of water to get different and different weights of things to get different whoops when you dropped it in. It was so like you're saying it is an art, but it's
to
a
crush a
loss,
man's
for sure.
skull. You would
It's
just
really
punch
fun.
a watermelon.
Yeah, exactly. So I was always like, I remember one of it was like gunshot, and it was just like, just get a gun or a firecracker was the way they said. They were like, So that one always, that was a crack up.
Wrong firecracker.
Man, we don't know you're not stinging needle bees. Oh man, so 2.5 years, 8 months in one studio, and then you're out, and then you guys are getting ready to release it.
Yes.
How does that? Or have you are you still listening to it? Are we still tweaking
No,
it, or have we just been like, we're done?
So
we just got back our
We
stuff.
sent Alex Hastings at Mockingbird Sound, who we'll probably use forever because, oh my gosh.
Well, then shout out Alex Hastings.
Dude, sounds
You know
so
that
good.
guy?
Thanks,
You
buddy.
should. Yeah, check him out. He's amazing.
It just feels like somebody I might
So
know.
we sent him. I worked for a really, 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 really stupid long time, and then we sent him the tracks. And what he has sent back to us is just beautiful.
Nice.
And I had like a note per song. And I was like, yeah, that thing. And it's all nuanced stuff. It's probably stuff that was my fault originally, not his. Because what he
I
beautified.
don't know this guy, but I want to be his friend.
Dude, so good.
He's a cool guy.
He's in
Nice.
Fresh Ghosts.
Yeah.
Fresh Ghost.
Very
is his
cool.
band.
Very cool. So you found did you know him previously? Or was
Wilder.
Okay.
So Wilder, from what I understand, used to have our former bass player who we've talked about before.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
He knew Alex. He knew the studio. I think he had He had something very, very close ties to do with it while he was.
While he was here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now we knew Alex because of him, and
Okay.
just kind of
Well,
started
his
rolling with
influence
it.
continues to
Dude,
pass on,
kills
right,
it.
my man?
Yeah.
There you go. That's a beautiful thing, man. That's a beautiful thing when, we lose the people we love sometimes, but, it can have these small little bits of joy.
That grow.
I understand that to the fullest, my friend. I understand it to the fullest.
Seeds from the tree, man.
So what's the album called?
Wilder.
Ah, yes. Beautiful.
For multiple reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tribute plus a play on words.
Yes. it's the most rock and roll. So the first album was kind of more that swing.
I've seen y'all live.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first. I think it might have even been at LSA or no, it was at Backyard.
Yep.
That was where I saw
R.I.P..
you. Yep, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Pour one out for the homies, dude. But that was when I was like, all right, Mike, you guys can jam.
We have fun, man.
Yeah, dude, you
We
guys
have
killed
fun.
it. It was, and that's what I mean, man. You guys make fun music. It's fun music to listen to. It's fun music to rock to. I'll say it.
Dude, that's the thing. Like, we got some happy stuff, make you feel good. We got some like punch Kyle out and punch the wall kind of stuff. Like,
grab a monster and punch the wall out, bro.
I hate this drywall.
How would you feel at the end of a show if somebody was like, man, that was great. I just wanted to grab a monster and chicka.
We did our jobs.
Yes.
So that's the best compliment that you can give, as you just heard to the Flintlock.
We're not going to
Gypsies.
get a gig ever again.
Ever again, because we'll destroy. Well, we'll make it one per place.
Well, yeah. Until we put a hole in our
73
drywall.
Kyles.
I think we need a Flintlock Gypsy Monster Edition.
See,
Actually, we
promoting.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's bad. We got a song that's on the next album called Monster, not about that drink. I swear to
Well,
God,
looks
this
like
was a bad time to bring it up.
I think at that when that song comes out, it's Monsters.
Yes. Just God.
Yes. See, this is why I had you guys on the show, because I knew we'd have a good conversation.
Heck
It was a
yeah.
great talk last time, and now it's happening all over again. It's a beautiful thing.
That's
I
nuts,
love
man.
it.
Do it.
I know. This never happens. Oh, man. Okay, so Wilder, once again, coming out. It's been 2.5 years. How we feeling?
So good.
So
oh, my
good.
gosh.
Write that
Like,
down.
I'm so excited for that.
good.
It's going to be amazing.
Release party?
Not scheduled yet.
Not scheduled?
We're-
Okay.
So
Is there a release date for the album?
there is a loose date
Loose
of,
date. I like loose dates.
of early March.
Okay, loose date.
We're looking for early March.
All right, man. Early March. Keep
That'd
it in
be
your
nice.
calendars.
That'd be really
I'll
nice.
circle
nice.
March 1st through 8th.
Ish.
Yes. Yes.
Album's coming out. That's great. So, I've always wanted to send my music. I've had one song professionally mastered. There was a record label who reached out to me and said, "Hey, we like the song. We want to put it on a compilation. Can you send us your first mix of it?
Yeah.
And we'll finish that off." So I sent it to them, and it was cool. There was a significant brightness to the track actually when I got it back.
It makes
It's
weird.
stupid how much difference it makes.
Significant difference.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to experience like the pre-mat, like take my song, do the best I can with it, master it all myself, but then take the premix and
A/B.
then send it off to somebody.
just
and
take
go,
them and bounce
"Hey,
them back and
yeah,
forth
see-
between the two.
Yeah, and
it's
see this.
it's there's something magical about what they do to it, man.
It's impressive because like compression and limiting and EQing, it's
Room treatment.
all that stuff, and you can read anything and everything, but one of the best pieces of advice that I saw that stuck with me was to never have like a template, like because each song needs to be treated differently.
Yep.
Each song is like a person. You have to treat, everybody's treated differently. But respectfully. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. Is like
If you're gonna go paint a painting and you make those colors
Yeah.
for that painting, Are you going to take that color palette to the next painting you do?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
Yes.
Like, it's not a good idea. Like, mix it up.
Yeah, probably the
This
way that
is-
I talk to you isn't the way I'm going to talk to my girlfriend when I go home in,
Yeah.
45 minutes. I guess that's what I was saying. Everyone deserves to be treated nicely,
Yes.
So, yeah. Yeah, that was one thing I saw, and, man, I've always wanted that. So you guys send it in, and then it just comes back, and does it feel like it sounds different when you guys get it back, or is it
It sounds healthy.
okay?
It sounds like
I like that description.
Like-
healthy.
like he took it
Wealthy.
and he gave it some like electrolyte water and vitamins and some fiber
Little
and
spinach,
stuff.
some
Yeah,
asparagus.
like he was like, "Hey, here's the gym. Here's how you work out. Go be a song."
Yeah, there's an art form in making something. Go be a song. You're free.
Go.
There's something in art form
Fly,
in making something louder in a way, but maintain the dynamics.
Yes.
Maintaining dynamics, but getting that volume boost. So when you turn it up to 100 on your computer, it still sounds good. It's not
Distorted and
chunky,
crunchy.
distorted, coming all together in a weird
Yeah,
way.
because we're just running around in circles for months, like phone test, car test, speaker
Yep.
test. Like,
Yep.
Did you all see what the Raconteurs did with their new album? How they mastered it, mixed and mastered it?
No.
They bought they had the studio engineer sit and then broadcast it on an FM radio.
No way.
And then Jack would go sit in his car and he would call him and go, "Okay, hey, turn the kick up, put a little bit more on that." And so they would play it over the FM radio and it would go into they would pick like 88 point whatever. And that's how they
so
mixed that's how they
awesome.
mixed their
'Cause
latest
that's
record.
the car is the biggest truth.
That's
it's
what he said in the interview. He was on Jimmy Fallon, and I was watching this, and he was like, "Is that legal?" He goes, "Oh no, absolutely not." But no, FCC's not coming after us. Like we're not. It's pirate radio, but what are they gonna do? And I just thought, man, that's such a cool idea, and because that's where
is-
most people are listening to the music. And even when I've watched interviews with sound engineers nowadays, they're like, "I'll do this, I do this, I do the car test." Car test is a big part of it.
the mono test and the car test.
Yeah.
The tiny poopy speaker
Yep, yeah, the tiny
And-
little guy, yeah.
and the car.
Your phone, the car, an iPad, something like that. But yeah, I thought that was amazing where he was like, "Yeah, we'll have the engineer will play it and we'll broadcast it through the radio and then I'll go in my car and switch on my FM stereo and click it to that station and I can listen to it." And
Yep.
I'll call the guy and we mix it right there.
see, that's awesome.
See, they'd arrest us.
That's
though.
innovative.
We
That's
would get
trying
in
to
trouble for that.
That's using new things to try to
Exactly.
figure out a sound that you're
that's
trying to get
old.
a feeling
That'd
for.
be old and new.
Yeah, but
It's like mixing the
yeah,
old and the new.
It really,
Yeah.
it's like a new technique that I'd never heard of before.
Hybrid.
Yeah, where I was just like, how do you do like,
Well, then, and you
that's-
think in the 45, 50 years we've been doing this, no one thought to do it.
Yeah, I
like
know.
that?
M-
Like,
maybe
it's
somebody
also
did, but they've
it's
never
also
admitted
very
it.
intriguing in
Yeah.
the same token. Is like, how come no one's thought of that?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe like maybe sending out, because we all can maybe it takes a lot more. Maybe at the time it took a lot more equipment to send that music out, rather. Because wouldn't he have to have like a small tower in a way? Like that's what I was saying. I was like, did you build a tiny radio tower to send it? Because I don't know how I would go. You'd have to have a receiver or like what do you could broadcast it over.
You could
a-
do the same things at the drive-throughs. Like
Yeah.
the drive-in movie theaters.
Yeah.
You can tune into your radio station and you get the audio
Yeah.
from the movie.
Yes.
On the radio.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably something like that.
Because
Yeah.
like even with like because
Well, because you can plug.
a phone in and put it
Yeah.
on a station and then
Yeah.
it plays through.
Uh-huh.
Look, I'm not that smart. I don't know how these things work. I just know I press play and it works. I don't know.
I'll
how-
figure
you
it
know
out.
How? Have you ever? I was watching a stand-up and the comedian was like, he was like, if this might, he was like, we are not smart. He was like, we use a lot of things that really smart people figured out. He's like, if this mic broke, I don't know how it works. I don't know some loud stuff. But now my man Roser over here can show you how
Let
that
me
mic.
talk
You could
to
have
you
stood up
about
right
it.
there in that show and been like,
Yeah.
I'll save the day.
Let me see the transformer.
In fact, I've got it right here. This weird guy.
Got a spare
Hold
aluminum
on.
strip right
Let
here.
me get my soldering iron out.
Man, yeah, excuse me, I come prepared.
Yes.
Is there a sound
Where's
engineer
my
in the house?
monocle?
Yeah. You gotta flip that thing. Or did
Yeah,
you
the
have
little-
one of those?
I wish.
Oh, that
I've got
would've
your
been
the
soldering
big nerdy.
model.
Yeah.
Expand it.
I
way
do
out.
have the magnifying glass with the light on the back, though,
Nice,
which
props,
is
dude. I
pretty
like that.
sweet. And the little hands.
That's sweet, man. Yeah, for sure. Guys, I'm excited about this new album, Wilder, man. Because like I said, I
gonna
like
rock.
y'all's music. I'm excited
It's-
about it, man. Once again, I'm gonna keep an eye out in March. I want to keep an eye out for a possible release party, something of the
Yeah.
sorts.
We will have announcements
because I feel
made.
this means that the last time we talked, we were talking about this album.
Yeah, yeah.
And now it's
It was
getting ready
a
to happen.
giant, heinous. Like this year was just kind of. I was like, hey, I have this dream that feels really good. Like I'm just gonna go play
And
some
I had to
music.
come in and like, hey.
I want to love everybody, and everybody was like, no. And I was like, I gotta be mean now. And then I was mean for a second, and
He did get dark.
Oh,
he got
it
dark
was
on
so
some.
Yeah, well, you
Mofos.
made it through it, dude.
yeah, we're here.
You got
yeah.
through it. Everybody's cool. Everybody's chilling, and the record's gonna come out, and that's what rock and roll is
That's
all
that
about,
is
man.
the drive. We've got a mission.
Yeah.
We'll be dropping the single here in literally a few weeks. Like
Okay.
literally the second I get him, I'm gonna say, hey, here's a week. Let's go.
Yeah, what's the single called?
Line of sight.
Line of Sight. Okay. Cool.
Line of sight.
Awesome, man. Very cool, dude. Very cool. Fellas, fuck.
It's been
I enjoyed
fun.
y'all coming on. Again.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having us.
Again. Now,
It's always fun.
when we
coming in
talk
here.
next year or even sooner, this album better be but we can't be talking
Oh,
about
no.
No.
No,
That's what I was telling him.
There's
Like,
no
we're gonna go
fooling
talk
around.
about the same
Yeah,
crap we
we
talked
are.
about last time.
But it's not. It's
No,
different.
see-
Like
We talked about I wrote down
you
what we
don't know a
talked about.
difference. I know a difference.
Yeah.
That's all that.
Look, man.
Well,
Look,
it's,
I learned
it's
about
gonna rock.
I
and
learned
it's really
about
close.
I learned about Glenn Johns. I learned about the Beach Boys documentary I need to watch. We learned about the weird. We talked about self-promotion. That kind of thing.
Which
the
you
humble,
have
the
to.
humble,
Just do
the
it.
humble brag, if you will.
And don't build
Yeah.
a studio.
And don't do that
Don't-
either.
no, don't.
Oh man. Well, folks, once again, Flintlock Gypsy right here. Make sure you go follow them on Spotify, iTunes, where all music is released. They do have a new album coming out. We're thinking it's going to be early, mid, maybe late March. Who knows?
If not
Um,
sooner, I
But
promise.
if not,
I promise.
if not
I will
sooner,
give
it
to
is
you.
called Wilder. And in a few weeks, we've got them dropping a new single. It's going to be called Line of Sight. Fellas, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it, y'all.
Thanks for having
coming
us,
out.
man.
It's been
Always
fantastic.
fun with you guys.
First recording of 2020, first live show. It's been fun. I had a great time. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Please, if you liked it, share. Tune in next week. We'll be right back here at the same time with more new music right here on DentonRadio.com. See you next week. Peace.
At Discover Denton. Do you love live music? If so, make Denton, Texas your next vacation. Find more information at discoverdenton.com.